What would you do if you found a wallet filled with more money than you had ever seen in your life, and no one was watching? Would you keep it, or would you return it? This is the story of Amaka Obi, a homeless girl whose single choice would shake her destiny forever. Stay with me, because what she discovered after finding that wallet will leave you speechless. Rain fell in sheets across Lagos, blaring neon lights into streaks of red and gold on the wet asphalt. The city moved as though it didn't care who survived its storms. Danfo buses roared through puddles, splashing mud on strangers. Traders shouted into the night, their voices battling the thunder. Beneath a broken kiosk along Adoniji Road, 17-year-old Amaka Obi curled her thin body against the corrugated shutter, clutching a cardboard sheet above her head as if it could shield her from the sky. She was bone-tired. Her slippers had holes. Her only dress clung to her skin, soaked through. Some nights she pretended the rain was just another lullaby, and the stars would soon appear to comfort her. But tonight, the heavens were sealed, heavy with darkness. Amaka's life had changed 3 months earlier, the day the soil hit her father's coffin. She still remembered her stepmother's voice that same afternoon, sharp as a blade. "You should have gone with him. Which?" In minutes, she was thrown out of the only home she had ever known, holding nothing but a torn nylon bag with one faded dress, a worn Bible, and her dream of finishing school. Since then, Lagos had been both her prison and her battlefield. Daylight was for survival scavenging for food, begging for small jobs, dodging insults. Nightfall was for claiming a dry corner before drunks or scavengers got there first. She had quickly learned that in this city, a human life could shrink to the size of a pavement slab. And yet, even a ghost can still hope. The next morning, she overheard whispers in the market while hiding from the rain under a rusted newsstand. A massive international trade fair had opened at Tafawa Balewa Square. Big companies, food vendors, and pop-up stalls were looking for extra hands. One man mentioned leaflet distributors. Another said dishwashers were needed. Amaka's stomach growled. She had eaten only stale bread yesterday. With blistered feet, she made her way toward the square, weaving between okadas that belched smoke like angry dragons. When she arrived, the place was alive, music pounding from loudspeakers, colourful banners snapping, the smell of suya and puff-puff floating in the air. For a brief moment, she felt rich just being among the crowd. Maybe, just maybe, today would be different. But hope in Lagos can be a cruel creditor. The first stallholder, a thick-necked man selling imported phones, cut her short. "Look at your dress, my dear. My customers will think I hire beggars." At a food truck, she offered to wash plates. The chef pointed to a laminated notice. Hygiene permit required. One by one, stool after stool, rejection piled upon rejection, until dusk fell and the floodlights buzzed on overhead. Amaka's heart whispered the only prayer she knew by now. Maybe tomorrow. Just let me reach tomorrow. She was slipping between stacks of crates near the exit when her foot struck something soft yet solid. She bent down. A black leather wallet, face down on the damp ground. Her breath caught. Years of street life had sharpened her eye for valuables rings, stray notes, reusable shopping bags. But this wallet felt different, expensive. She opened it. 30 crisp $100 bills gleamed back at her. For a moment, her brain shut down. Her chest felt tight. She saw pictures in her head. A small room with a mattress, a padlock on her own door, a sewing machine by a window. A new life, just like that. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through the compartments. A laminated ID card slipped out. The face of a man in his mid-40s stared up at her distinguished, salt-and pepper hair, sharp suit. Below, in gold lettering, Chief Oladipo Adeyemi, Chairman CEO, Adeyemi Global Holdings. An address in Ikoyi was printed at the bottom, along with a private phone number. Amaka's mouth went dry. She counted again $3,000. At the parallel market rate, that was over 4 million naira, enough to rent a room, pay for an apprenticeship, and even start a small boutique. Why shouldn't she keep it? After all, life had already robbed her more cruelly than any wallet could rob its owner. But then, like a breeze through memory, she heard her late mother's voice. "My daughter, wealth built on a stolen foundation will forever tremble." The words struck deep. Her hands clutched the wallet tighter against her chest. She staggered out of the fairgrounds, into the streets that smelled of petrol and roasted corn. The wallet pressed under her dress felt heavier than any load she had ever carried. She reached the plywood fence of an abandoned construction site near Idumota Bridge and curled up there for the night. The rain returned, soaking her again. Hunger gnawed at her belly. Every argument for keeping the money marched through her mind. You can buy peace. You can buy dignity. Nobody will know. But honesty sat beside her like a fragile child in torn sandals, whispering, "You are still your mother's daughter." She dozed, woke, and dozed again. In her dreams, the bills turned into waves of ocean, carrying her away. But at dawn, she knew. She would return the wallet, no matter the cost. When morning broke, Amaka tucked the wallet deeper into her dress and whispered to the grey sky, "Let my legs be enough." The address in Ikoyi was far, maybe 30 kilometers. She had no transport fare, just her blistered feet and a conviction that felt fragile but unshakable. By the time she reached Balagan Market, the city was roaring awake. Traders spread their wares, shouting prices. The air smelled of pepper and diesel. Her stomach churned with emptiness. She approached a man loading rice sacks. "Please, sir, I need 2,000 naira for transport. I must return something I found." The man wiped sweat from his brow and looked her up and down. "Found what? A wallet? With money?" "Yes. I want to give it back." The man burst into laughter, shaking his head. "Ah, so God finally blessed you, and you want to insult him? Nobody go help you like this again. Better use it before hunger kills you." He turned away. Amaka's throat tightened. She tried again with a woman selling plantain chips. The woman scoffed. "Return a rich man's money? My dear, you know serious. Keep it before your head spoil." By noon, after hours of begging, mocking laughter was all she received. Exhausted, she sank beside a gutter. Her hands shook as she pulled the wallet out again. The crisp bills seemed to stare at her, daring her to give up. Her stomach growled. Her slippers were falling apart. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. "This is your blessing," a voice inside her whispered. "God finally remembered you." But another voice, steadier, deeper, rose like a tide. "If you take what isn't yours, how will your story ever be clean? Didn't Mama tell you? What does it profit to gain comfort but lose your honor?" Amaka shut her eyes. She remembered her mother's calloused hands, stitching torn uniforms for free, feeding neighbors from an empty pot, living with dignity even in poverty. "I'm not a thief," Amaka whispered, tears stinging her eyes. "Even if I'm hungry." She stood, clutching the wallet to her chest. Her decision was made. She would walk to Ikoyi. And so, with blistered feet and no map but the memory of a school trip years ago, Amaka began the long journey across Lagos. She didn't know how the billionaire would receive her. She didn't know if she would even survive the walk. But one truth lit her path. Sometimes, doing what is right means walking a road the world calls foolish. If you're still watching, then you feel the weight of Amaka's choice. Stay with us, because what happens when she finally reaches the billionaire's mansion will shock you. The sun had already begun to climb when Amaka set out from Balagan Market. She had no transport fare, no phone, no map, any blistered feet, and the fragile memory of the last time she had passed Ikoyi on a school trip years ago. The wallet pressed against her chest wasn't just leather and cash anymore. It was a war of voices inside her. By the time she reached CMS Bridge, her legs ached. She paused beneath a tree, her stomach gnawing with hunger. The city roared around her, horns blaring, Danfo drivers shouting for passengers, hawkers balancing trays of ground nuts and gala. She tried once more for help. She approached a Keek driver parked at the roadside. "Please, sir, I need just 2,000 naira. I must return something." The man looked at her with suspicion. "Return what?" "A wallet. A very important wallet." He laughed so loudly it startled passers-by. "Sister, hunger done knock your brain. Nobody returns money in this Lagos. If God give you, hold 'am tight. Abby you day mad?" Amaka's cheeks burned with shame. She stepped away as he continued laughing. By afternoon, she reached the island bridge. Sweat drenched her dress, and dust clung to her skin. People stared at her as though she were diseased. Some muttered insults. A group of boys jeered. "Beggar girl! Carry money go chop. No day for Mother Teresa." Her throat tightened, but she pressed forward. When the sun dipped low, she collapsed beneath a shed near Falomo. Her feet were swollen, her lips cracked with thirst. She slept in snatches, swatting mosquitoes, clutching the wallet as if it might slip away. Day 2 began with her body screaming in pain. Still, she pushed on, asking directions at each corner. Some ignored her, some waved her off. One man said mockingly, "If you wan trek go Ikoyi, you need the spirit of Elijah." Amaka forced a smile. "Then may that spirit carry me." By evening, she stumbled into Ikoyi. The transformation was jarring. The cracked walls and noisy markets of the mainland were replaced with glass towers, manicured lawns, and iron gates crowned with golden initials. SUVs purred past her like panthers. Security men in uniform guarded every corner. Her torn slippers and dusty dress looked like a crime here, but she gripped the palm. Wallet tighter. Finally, she found it. Her legs wobbled as she stared at the largest gate she had ever seen. Security cameras perched on every corner like silent eyes. Amaka's heart pounded. She pressed the intercom buzzer. A voice crackled through. "Yes?" She swallowed hard. "Please, I need to speak to Chief Oladipo Adeyemi. It's very important. My name is Amaka Obi. I found something that belongs to him." "What?" "A wallet." Another long silence. Then, "Hold on." Minutes passed. Then the small pedestrian gate creaked open. 2 uniformed guards stepped out. Their eyes swept over her, from her frayed dress to her cracked slippers. One scoffed. You? You say you get wet and belong to Oga?" Amaka nodded quickly. "Yes, please. I only want to return it." The second guard sneered. "I beg, drop am here. Oga no dey see dirty people way dey find miracle." Amaka shook her head. "No, I must give it to him myself. Please, just tell him I'm here." The gate slammed shut in her face. Night fell. Amaka remained by the gate, sitting on the cold pavement. Her stomach growled painfully. Her legs trembled from exhaustion. Still, she refused to move. Some passers-by stopped to stare. Others whispered. A street cleaner even sprayed water toward her feet. But Amaka only hugged the wallet tighter. When sleep came, it was cruel thin and restless, broken by the sound of engines roaring past. She dreamed of her mother again, her hand resting on her cheek, whispering, "Don't give up. Don't let the world buy your soul." At dawn, the gates rumbled open. A convoy of dark SUVs rolled forward, tinted windows gleaming. Amaka scrambled to her feet, weak but determined. She stepped directly in front of the lead vehicle. Tires screeched. Horns blared. Security men rushed out, shouting, "Get away from the road! Are you mad? Move!" But Amaka didn't move. Her legs shook. Her throat was dry. But she held her ground, both hands clutching the wallet to her chest. The driver revved the engine impatiently. A guard raised his hand to push her aside. Then the rear door of the SUV opened. A man stepped out. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a sharp grey suit and glasses that caught the morning sun. His sultan-pepper hair was neatly brushed. His presence carried the weight of authority calm, commanding, yet curious. Amaka's heart leapt. It was him, the same face from the ID card. Chief Oladipo Adeyemi. He looked at the trembling girl blocking his car, his eyes narrowing slightly, not in anger, but in wonder. "Who are you?" he asked, voice calm but firm. Amaka opened her mouth, but no sound came. She could only stare at him, the man whose wallet she had carried across Lagos like a fragile treasure. "At last," she whispered, holding it out with both hands. This belongs to you, sir." Chief Oladipo glanced at the wallet, then back at the girl who looked like she hadn't eaten in days. His convoy waited, engines humming. His guards bristled. But in that moment, something shifted in the billionaire's eyes. If you're still with Amaka, don't blink, because what Chief Oladipo does next will shock you. The air around Milverton Crescent seemed to freeze. The convoy waited, engines rumbling, guards shifting uneasily. Yet Chief Oladipo Adeyemi stood still, his gaze locked on the frail girl in front of him. She looked like she had walked through fire dust clinging to her dress, her slippers torn, her face gaunt with hunger. But her hands didn't tremble as she stretched the wallet toward him. He stepped closer, ignoring the protests of his security. Gently, he took the wallet from her. He opened it slowly, counting through the bills, inspecting the ID, the hidden emergency card. Everything was intact. Then he looked at her again. "You found this?" he asked. Amaka nodded, voice faint. "At the trade fair, 3 days ago. I walked here, no one believed me, but it didn't belong to me. I had to return it." A murmur ran through the guards. One shook his head in disbelief. Chief Oladipo's lips tightened, as though fighting an emotion. Then he said firmly, "Cancel my meeting." "Sir?" the driver stammered. "Cancel it," he repeated. "Something more important has come to my gate." The guards exchanged bewildered glances. But Amaka only swayed where she stood, her legs weak. Chief Oladipo noticed. He gestured toward the gate. "Come inside!" The mansion gates swung open. Amaka followed hesitantly, her heart pounding. Inside, the compound stretched like a kingdom perfectly trimmed lawns, rose bushes shaped like globes, a fountain sparkling in the sun. Her dusty slippers seemed to insult the driveway's clean interlock bricks. They entered the main house. Marble pillars rose toward a crystal chandelier. The air smelled of jasmine and polished wood. A maid appeared, bowing slightly. Chief Oladipo said quietly, "Take her to the guest room. Draw her a warm bath. Bring her food, something solid. She has been walking for days." The maid hesitated, frowning at Amaka's dirt-streaked face. Amaka lowered her eyes, following the maid up the grand staircase. For the first time in years, she touched warm water that lathered soap into real foam. She gasped, watching grime swirl down the drain. Her skin glowed again beneath layers of dirt. Her hair, untangled and braided neatly by the maid, felt like silk against her neck. When she was dressed in clean cotton clothes, she hardly recognized the girl in the mirror. Then came the food, a steaming plate of jollof rice with grilled chicken and a tall glass of malt. Amaka stared for a long moment, her throat tight. She whispered a prayer her mother had taught her thank you. "Lord, for daily bread, and for the hands that offer it." Then she ate, slowly at first, then with desperate hunger. Later, she was guided to a lounge overlooking the lagoon. Chief Oladipo sat there in a navy suit, sipping water, his eyes studying her. Amaka lowered herself into a chair, hands folded nervously. "What is your name?" "Amaka Obi. Where are your parents?" "My mother died when I was 10, my father 3 months ago." "You've been on the streets since then?" She nodded. My stepmother said I was a witch. She threw me out. His jaw tightened, though his voice remained calm. And yet you brought this wallet back. Amaka's eyes dropped. I almost didn't. I was hungry. I thought maybe God was blessing me. But then I remembered my mother's words, we may be poor, but we are not thieves. I wanted to sleep at night without fear in my heart. The room went silent. Then Chief Oladipo leaned back, exhaling slowly. Do you know how many wallets I've lost in this city, Amaka? She frowned, confused. He rose, walking to the window. 2 years ago, my mother passed away. Before she died, she used to say, a person's worth is not measured by the weight of their wallet, but by the weight of their conscience. Her words haunted me, so I decided to test them. He turned, eyes steady on Amaka. For 26 months, I left wallets in public places, malls, airports, markets. Each one contained money, my ID, my address, my number. Not once did anyone return it. Not once. Amaka's lips parted. You planted them? He nodded. Yes. I was searching for someone, not because they had to do right, but because they chose to. And today, you, a girl with nothing, walked across this city just to bring it back. Her throat tightened. I didn't know it was a test. You weren't meant to. That's why it matters. He returned to his chair, opening the wallet again before placing it on the table. Most people would have seen 4 million naira and chosen comfort. You chose honor. That is rare. That is priceless, Amaka whispered. I didn't expect a reward. I just wanted to do what was right. He smiled faintly. And that is why you deserve one. Her eyes widened. Sir? I don't give charity, Amaka. I invest. And you have something money cannot buy. Integrity. You will not return to the streets, not while I can change it. She shook her head in disbelief. But I have no qualifications, no skills, no skills. You walked 30 kilometers to return a wallet. You survived rejection, hunger, humiliation. That takes strength. No certificate can measure. Skills can be taught. Conscience cannot. Tears welled in her eyes. Why are you being so kind to me? He gazed at her for a long moment. Because kindness is the only thing worth being rich for. A maid entered then, carrying tea. She set the tray down, glancing curiously at Amaka before slipping out. Chief Oladipo leaned forward. From today, your life changes. You'll have a place to live, tutors to teach you, and mentorship in my company. You will learn, grow, and choose a future worthy of your honesty. Amaka's chest rose and fell rapidly. She whispered, Sir, I don't know how to thank you. Live with the same truth you showed me. That is thanks enough. But before the weight of his words could fully settle, a sharp voice cut through the room. Oladipo? What is going on here? Amaka turned. A tall woman stood at the doorway. Elegant. Beautiful. Her fitted dress shimmered, her hair perfectly styled, but her eyes dark, sharp, suspicious, locked onto Amaka like daggers. Who is this girl? She demanded. Chief Oladipo's expression shifted, calm but unreadable. Vanessa, this is Amaka Obi. She found my wallet and returned it. Vanessa's lips curled into a disbelieving smile. She stepped closer, her heels striking the marble floor like warning drums. Returned it? Or the woman's gaze felt heavier than the wallet itself. The room filled with silence. Chief Oladipo's fiancée stood glaring at Amaka, suspicion written in every line of her face. And for the first time since she entered the mansion, Amaka realized her greatest trial might not have been the journey to Ikoyabut surviving the storm now standing before her. Vanessa's heels clicked across the polished marble floor, her eyes never leaving Amaka. She stopped directly in front of her, arms folded. So this is the new trick? She said coldly. Street girls pretending to be saints, hoping to snare a rich man's sympathy. Amaka's lips parted, but no words came. She had faced hunger, ridicule, even the fury of the Lagos rain. Yet under Vanessa's gaze, she felt smaller than ever. Chief Oladipo rose, his expression calm but sharp. "Enough, Vanessa. Enough!" Vanessa turned to him, incredulous. "You bring a stranger into your home, cancel your meetings, and now you're defending her? Do you even know who she is?" "I know exactly who she is," he replied firmly. "She is the first person in over 2 years to return one of my wallets. She chose honesty when the world gave her every reason to steal." Vanessa laughed bitterly. "Oh, please! Anyone can spin a sob story. Do you really believe this girl didn't take a single mote before crawling here?" Amaka's throat tightened. She stood quickly, clutching the front of her borrowed dress. "I didn't take anything, Ma. Not one note. Count it yourself. Everything is there." Chief Oladipo held up the wallet. "I already did. Every dollar, every card, untouched." Vanessa's smile faltered, but she recovered quickly. "Even so, you can't just bring strays into our lives. What will people think?" Oladipo's voice dropped, quiet but firm. "If people cannot respect integrity, their opinion is worthless." The room fell silent. Vanessa's eyes flushed with anger. She spun on her heel, muttering, "You'll regret this." And with that she stormed out, her perfume lingering in the heavy air. Amaka's knees threatened to give way. She lowered herself back into the chair, trembling. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You have nothing to apologize for," Oladipo said gently. "Sometimes truth unsettles those who build their lives on appearances. Don't let her words take root in you." Amaka nodded slowly, her chest tight with emotion. Days turned into weeks. True to his word, Chief Oladipo arranged everything. A modest flat in Abuja, tutors to help her catch up on lost education, training inside Adeyemi Global Holdings. For the first time, Amaka carried notebooks instead of cardboard, hope instead of hunger. She learned business communication, basic accounting, and public speaking. She shadowed Oladipo in meetings where contracts worth millions were signed. She listened, absorbed, and asked questions that surprised even senior managers. Some mocked her behind her back the Billionaire's charity case, but Oladipo silenced them with one phrase: "Integrity sits higher than any certificate." Months later, Amaka received a phone call from a familiar voice. An elderly neighbor from Mushin whispered, "Your stepmother, Nkechi, is very sick. She has no money for treatment." Memories surged Nkechi's insults, the day she threw Amaka out, calling her a witch. For a moment, bitterness burned her chest. Why should she care? But then another voice whispered within her mother's voice, "Forgive freely, even when it hurts." Amaka requested 2 days' leave and travelled to Lagos. The compound looked smaller than memory, its walls peeling, the gate rusted. Inside, Nkechi lay on a mat, her face gaunt, her eyes sunken. When she saw Amaka healthy, well-dressed fear flickered in her gaze. "Have you come to curse me?" she croaked. Amaka knelt beside her, taking her frail hand. From her handbag, she produced a deposit slip and a clinic pamphlet. "You will receive treatment. No one deserves pain." Tears slid down Nkechi's cheeks. For the first time, she had no insults, only silence and shame. Amaka rose, heart lighter. Redemption wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was a quiet handshake between past and present. 6 months after she had returned the wallet, Amaka stood in front of rows of pastel-painted houses. Rose Gardens, the first affordable housing project she managed for Adeyemi Global. Families lined up with wide eyes, clutching keys. Reporters jostled for pictures. the Minister of Housing gave a speech about public-private synergy, but the crowd wanted to hear from the young woman whose story had already gone viral across Nigeria. Amaka stepped to the podium. The December sun blazed down. Cameras flashed. She spoke without notes. I once slept on cardboard beneath Idumota Bridge. People laughed at me for wanting to return money that could have ended my suffering. But one act of kindness lifted me. Today, these homes are proof that kindness is an investment that pays compound interest. Gasps rippled through the audience. Tears glistened in the eyes of mothers holding their children. With ceremonial scissors, Amaka cut the ribbon. The doors swung wide, and children sprinted down freshly painted corridors that smelled of promise, not mildew. Their laughter rose like a choir. Chief Oladipo stood in the front row, pride shining in his eyes. That evening, he hosted a quiet celebration on a rooftop overlooking the Abuja skyline. Fairy lights twinkled. A saxophonist played high-life tunes. Guests toasted the success of the project. Oladipo guided Amaka to the edge of the parapet. From his pocket, he produced a small leather case. "Another wallet?" she asked nervously, half smiling. He chuckled. "No, a key." He opened the case. Inside lay a brass key on a velvet cushion. "Board approval came today. You are now Director of Community Impact, nationwide. This key opens every site office we own. Use it wisely." Amaka's eyes filled with tears. She closed the case, pressing it to her chest. "I will do my best." "Your best already changed my life," Oladipo said softly, and reminded me that my mother was right. Conscience is the true currency of wealth. Later that night, long after the guests had left, Amaka stood alone at the rooftop railing. The city glittered below, 1,000 lights against the dark. She remembered the night rain pounded her beneath corrugated iron, when a voice had said, "Keep it," and another whispered, "Don't." If she had yielded then, she might have slept on silk sheets bought with stolen money. But she would never have known this deeper luxury, a life without fear of being found out. She opened the leather case again, letting the brass key catch the moonlight. In its gleam, she saw the future scholarships for children, clinics for forgotten villages, mentorship for girls once called witches by fearful hearts. Tilting her face to the sky, she whispered, "Thank you, Mama. Your daughter kept her hands clean." The wind carried a scent of jasmine and city dust, and for the first time since childhood, Amaka felt entirely safe. Integrity opens doors money cannot. Amaka's honesty proved that character outweighs circumstance. True wealth lies in uplifting others, forgiving freely, and doing right, even when it is hard. If you believe integrity still matters, join us by subscribing. More powerful stories are coming, and we want you to be the first to hear them. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs a reminder that goodness never goes unnoticed.